One. Welcome, welcome, welcome everyone to today's show. We have a great show planned for today. We're going to try to cover two topics. The first is understanding that you are single until marriage. So we want to help people understand why they aren't stepmothers and stepfathers just because you're dating someone, and the roles and responsibilities when it comes to children. Also, if we can cover this, we want to talk about soul ties, understanding that everyone has someone who always has access to them. And there's always a guy out there who this woman really wanted, but he wouldn't get his life together. That's what the census said. That's what Granny said. To keep in mind, there's always someone else that she really wanted to be with. That person just wouldn't get himself together. And we had a good discussion going. I want you all to continue. We have a nice group of panelists today. We got Nicole, Tavona, Hug, Damon, Debra. Everybody introduce themselves, please.
Hey, how you doing? I'm Damon. All right.
Oh, hey guys, it's Tavona. Thank y'all for joining us. As y'all take this ride with us that you take with us on Fridays. We're so excited about these two topics. So make sure that you are engaging with us in the chat, and we will get to your questions that you place in the chat. Share the podcast with others and enjoy the ride. And welcome everybody, all our first timers. I see some new people. Hey Hezekiah, hey Marilyn. And I see Evan is on. So y'all get ready. This is going to be a good one.
Hey everyone, this is Debra. Thank you for joining the show and enjoy.
Hey everybody, this is Hook, co-host of the This, That, and the Third podcast. Ready for a great discussion.
Come on, plug. Come on.
Let's go. Let's jump into it. Let's jump into it. I want to know first off,
I'm ready to jump in.
how do you all feel about this, benefit stuff? Like, I'm a believer that you are single until marriage. Like, all that, the kids calling me auntie, uncle because we dated, or expecting someone to trust their kids around you because you're dating someone. How do you all feel about that?
So what we doing? We going with the guys first, Sean?
I'm old school. I like ladies first, but if you all want the guys to go first.
This is the Men Are From Mars. It's supposed to be
Okay, well, men, guys are first. Hook, you go first. Damon, you're next. Let's address step one. How do you all feel about that?
Well, I agree with the sentiment. I think that I would caution women to tread carefully when they're dating somebody. Obviously, you want to show the guy that you're dating that you have a vested interest, and that you want to build some type of relationship with their kid, but at the same time, you got to understand without that title, and I'm not big on like titles unless it's marriage, obviously, but you, I wouldn't, I wouldn't go around calling yourself somebody's stepmom unless you're married to that person. Because I know with me being a father, I've dated women who, they met my daughter, but they didn't spend significant time with her. You know what I mean? Like, it'll be like in passing, say, hey, this is my friend X, Y, and Z, but it wasn't a situation where we were doing things together or collectively or anything like that until I got serious with them. But it's a great topic, and I'm really interested to see what everybody else got to say.
Yeah, I was listening to a podcast last week when I was on the highway, and I don't know, some of you might have heard it. The guy who's was being interviewed is pretty popular and in the news a lot right now. I'm gonna wait and see if y'all can figure out. But he said something that I really agree with, and he talked about contracts. And when you have a contract in any negotiation, you got to have a contract, right? So you have a contract with your girlfriend, spouse, anyone. It doesn't have to be a written contract, but a verbal, right? An agreement. This is what it is. And we all go back to communication. If this is what it is, then when emotions get involved and it starts looking different, if you don't renegotiate that contract, it's still what it is.
Mm.
Amen.
I didn't think about that. I mean, when do you renegotiate? How often? What's the what interval?
Right.
Anytime it changes, I think. And I think that, just talking about, I agree also with the sentiment that you're single until you're married. All these other things is just, they are what they are. These are just these little labels that people put on stuff. But you, you, I think men and women should be careful about what you're exposing your child to while you're in this dating phase. Like everybody shouldn't be meeting your kids anyway. And so until you have gotten to some sort of
Upper
space where
level.
it's like, I actually see this person maybe sticking around for the long haul. Like they shouldn't be coming and meeting your kids on the second date. Like that's, to me, that's too soon. But I mean, hey, I guess, it really depends. And then when you have to deal with that dynamic of the other parent, if it's you're dealing with a man and he has a child, you now have to deal with his child's mother, or you dealing with a young lady and now you have to deal with her child's father. All of that comes into play. And why put all of that into play if you're not even sure y'all gonna stick around?
I 100% agree. I'm with Savannah on that. You are single until you are married. Until there's a ring on this finger, I'm technically going to do what I want. Granted, like, we can make, if there's certain things that we decide to do, like if we're just going to be exclusively sexually interactive, things like that, like those are things that I feel like, can come about and can happen. But technically I can still really do whatever I want until I have a ring on my finger that says now joining into a union with someone. As far as kids go, I don't know. I'm just one because I don't bring drama into anyone else's life. You can't bring drama into mine. So if you got baby mama issues, if that's not a situation you can control, I'm probably not gonna involve myself in that because my situation is not that. Yeah.
I have a question. So just talking to others and listening to a few discussions. You all are mothers, right? The women that are here are all mothers. And you know the saying, the cow doesn't come without the calf, and you want to see how this person will act towards your child or treat your child, right?
Mhm.
What are the limitations or what are the expected roles and responsibilities of a boyfriend when it comes to your child? Do you, if your child is involved with sports, do you want them to attend games or expect them to attend games? Once you reach the phase, okay, we've been dating for a while, we're exclusively dating. You're coming over, maybe having dinner, or we're going out. What is the interaction like between that person and your child? And this goes both ways, guys. I want to know, what is that interaction like or expected, from a woman that you're dating and your child?
Well, I know for me, my older kids with their dad, when we got divorced and we're no longer together, my kids never, they can tell you like they only know that mom had like two boyfriends. Like, you know what I'm saying? And these were like long term people, but it didn't go to marriage. But then when I started dating and decided that this was going towards marriage, there was a conversation between me, myself, who I was dating, and my children's father. Because at the end of the day, this is not a replacement for him. You know what I mean? Like, you can't replace him. Like, my kids have a father. I wasn't looking for no stepdaddy, right? Like, I was dating to have someone in my life. And so we had to have that sit down to be able to say, these are the expectations. This is what we're going to allow and not allow. You know what I'm saying? And so that's how we handled it. So it wasn't a thing where, anybody felt any kind of way because we all sat down at the table and made those decisions together.
A contract.
so to speak. Yeah, a contract, so to speak. And again, once we got married, that conversation happened again, right? Because now there's another level of accountability. Now this is a actual step parent, you know what I mean? And then there was some legalities that needed to take place in order for the kids to be on insurance. And you know what I'm saying? So it was all kind of things that needed to be discussed. And I mean, again, that level of maturity, that open and honest conversation, those things have, in my opinion, have to be done.
I want to say something. I think we can say, and a lot of you agreed, that you're single until you're married, right? But I just, retired from the military, and I've seen where marriages happen on business for business reasons only. So I just think we put too much of, I guess, what we consider marriage to be. This is 2024. These kids out here ain't getting married for the reasons we were getting married, or we are
They
getting
wasn't
married.
they wasn't getting married for the reason we was getting married with us. Cause I knew people that went into the military at 18, 19 and got married just so they can get more in their check. Ain't never even slept with the
Absolutely.
person. So
Absolutely.
yeah, you're
Right.
right. Marriage is not, everybody doesn't value and have the same
Right.
idea of what marriage is. So you have to have somebody who aligns with your
That's
ideas
right.
of marriage.
Also, before I got married to my wife, we were cool. Just being us. We were exclusive, but the only thing we did was sign a legal contract because legally we had to do some things, and the government and all of them won't recognize our relationship unless we signed their contract. And it's the same thing. So you talk about marriage again. I meet a guy, I meet a girl, and I put I introduce my kids to her right away. Okay, so the next week we get married. Does that make a difference? I still only met her a week ago, but just because we're married, that makes my ex, who shares children with me, that makes her more comfortable now that we are married.
That's a good point, Damon. That's a very good point because people do get married that quick. Real quick.
Right.
I never really, I really don't like the phrase "I'm single until I'm married," and primarily because, like, I think it may have been Debra who said it earlier. You said that technically,
Granted, jokingly a little bit, yes, but go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah, even if you're with somebody, you can you're still free to do what you want. My thing is if you're dating someone exclusively, yeah,
Right.
technically, legally, you're single. But at the same time, if I'm with you and you aren't showing me that any, if you're out here still living like you for the streets, not saying that's what you meant, but if you're with me but you're still acting single, then I'm probably not going to marry you. So I
That
think at some
contract never
point,
gets renegotiated. Right.
yeah, right.
Right,
And
Right.
you have
100%.
to show somebody, like if you're serious about this person, you have to show them what they're going to be getting if they choose to marry you. So I really don't, yeah, I don't know. I get it. But I mean, I don't necessarily agree with it. And also getting back to the whole kid thing. I think it was Tavona. You said that the guy you were going to marry and your son's father, you guys all sat down, right? And had a conversation. I don't think I'll ever be that mature because I'm not I'm not having a conversation with this dude. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to talk to the person I'm with, and I'm going to say, hey, what are your expectations of me with your child? And I'll tell you what mine are. And then if we agree to those terms, I mean, I don't really to me, it's like seeking his permission to, I'm not doing that. You know what I mean? So
But
if she's
I
okay with,
think that's necessary though, Hook, because at the end of the day, you're not the
I'm not.
parent. You're not
No,
you're
I'm
not that
no,
child's parent.
I'm
And you
not.
should
But
want to have a relationship with the child's parents if you're going to be in that
no,
child's
we can.
life.
No, we can. I'm not saying I'm never going to talk to him. I'm just simply saying I'm not going to run anything by him. A typical example, I'm married now, and this isn't something I had to deal with in my marriage because my stepdaughter's dad passed away when she was 2 years old. So, that's just not something I had to deal with. But within the relationship I had before I got married, this young lady and I were very serious. It never got to like marriage or anything like that, but we were extremely serious. And I did have a relationship with her son. I would, go to his games and all these other things. I never asked him, never wanted him to call me stepdad or anything like that because I don't even play like that. But I met his dad and we had a conversation. But if we didn't have to sit down saying, hey, this is what I expect. This is what I'm gonna do. I had a conversation with his mom, but I'm not having a conversation. I don't have to have a conversation I understand why some people may, but I don't feel the need to have a conversation and say, hey, what are your expectations of me or anything like that. Again, not saying it's right or wrong, but it's just not something I'm going to do.
I mean, I definitely think, just making sure everybody is on the same page. I don't know that I didn't have like a sit down with the person I attempted to marry and my son's father, but I did want them, I made sure that they met, that they got to have their own personal conversation with each other without me, before I took that step, because I felt like that was necessary for them to have that moment and to get whatever understanding that they needed to have between men, because men also handle things differently than women do. So I allowed for that to happen. But I don't know, in that situation, I also know that if I'm just dating someone, you don't meet my son until I feel like we are going to be something serious, and if I don't feel like that time ever comes, then you just never meet my son. And even if we do get serious, there's no expectations on you as my mate to show up to every game, to do things that his dad is perfectly capable of doing and able to do. Like, that's what his dad is there for. His dad is supposed to show up to those things. So if you're not busy and you want to come, sure. But, if you have other things going on, by all means, go handle your other business and I'll see you when, I'm done here. I don't think it should be any set rule where, just because we're dating, you got to show up for my kid. Because again, if he has that parent there, then you're not needed in those specific roles and places, but you can show up if you're, if that's what you're choosing to do.
But Deborah, let me ask you a question. This FYI, this Terry, I just got on.
What's up, Bubba?
Ain't not much. Hey, I'm on my way to a game, guys. So I'm actually stuck in traffic, so I was able to jump on for a few minutes.
All
Hey,
right.
Terry.
So I wanted to say, Deborah, I hear what you're saying, but let me ask you a question. How does a stepfather, I know some of you guys don't like to use those words, but technically it is what it is. This is how we differentiate between, your biological and, an adopted child or whatever. But how does a significant other build a bond or a relationship with your child to say that they're the stepfather if they can't attend those events?
I mean, she didn't say that
Sorry
it
about that.
couldn't.
So, I mean, easily, there's different ways that a bond can be built. And I'm not saying he can't attend those events, right? What I'm saying is it's not what's the word? It's not something that I feel like is, you know, dead set that has to happen with you at every
Quiet.
turn. Like, it doesn't have to happen every time. It doesn't have to be every game. Yes. Would I like you to show up from time to time? Yes, of course. But it doesn't have, it's not something that is a deal breaker for me if you don't. We can bond over other things, when you come over to sit down and have dinner, like it was said, when maybe we go out for an outing or something, just to hang out to the fair or, amusement park, different things like that. There's other ways to bond. But there's also, I feel like, some levels of, until you get to that point where you're even going to be a stepdad, there's some places I don't need you to show up for because his dad has that. You know what I'm saying? His dad is there.
Okay. Okay. Well, for that situation, okay, his dad is there. But let me tell you one thing. Just last week, I attended a church service. My quote unquote stepdaughter was actually giving a sermon, and she acknowledged me in the sermon as her stepfather, called my name and asked me to stand up. Why was that bond being built? Because I attend her events. I see her every night as well. But, her biological father's not in the picture, and that's by his choice. But, I step up and I do what I need to do. So, for me, in my opinion, to build a bond with the child, those are some important events that even if, if a man or woman is trying to be in that child's life, you know, those are events that should be attended.
But
My
I think what Deborah is saying, Terry, is that it can happen without those, right? Because like my older children who were not birthed from me, they when I was dating their dad, I met them
hmm
in September,
hmm
and me and their dad got married in May. So it was very, you know what I'm saying, they didn't, and I didn't spend a lot of time with them. Like I met them in September and we went to a cookout, and it was like, hey, how you doing? If he would talk to them on the phone, I'd be like, hey, tell them I said hi or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It was that was it. But now, 11 years later, like they call me all the time. Like we built our own
Denia,
relationship
you got a
later.
jacket?
Who is that? Damon?
Oh,
We built our own relationship, as the relationship grew. So I didn't have to go to their recitals. I didn't have to go to their this or that. Did I attend a few? Yeah, but I wasn't at everything. Just like, and I think it made a difference because they didn't live with us, right? My biological children lived with us. So when it was time to get up and go to a basketball game for my son, he was there, so he went. Like, you see what I'm saying? So I think the dynamics can kind of dictate also how those bonds are built.
okay.
Right.
Okay.
And again, Terry, you also said that, your stepdaughter's father is not in the picture. So, you have that opportunity where you can step up and you can give her that male figure that she doesn't technically have, right? And there's nothing wrong with that if that is the situation. But again, if you have a very active father in that child's life, and so you don't need to replace that person, you know what I'm saying, fully. You can just be an added benefit to that child's life, then that's what you do. And just like Tavona said, as the relationship grows, your bond with my child can grow because that's going to be the more and more time that you most likely spend with me and him.
Right.
But
I,
it's
I,
not going to always be a everyday, all day type thing.
can I add something? I just wanted to say everybody has their own situation, and I believe Deborah, I think you're speaking from your situation and your standpoint, and I think Terry is as well.
Yeah.
And but when I'm gonna get back to what Hook said, right? I agree. I don't need the interview to be no stepdad, and I definitely don't need to interview with their dad, right? But if it happens naturally that we are in the same space and we cordial and we talk, you can kind of feel each other out there. But for someone to arrange a meeting for me to meet with my stepkid's father, I don't know. I might be kind of awkward. What am I going to say? What is he going to say to me? What does he have to say to me?
Well, I now here clear. I didn't.
Okay, go ahead,
I did
Tavona.
not. I did not arrange the meeting. So if I made it seem like I arranged the meeting, that did not happen. It was my children's father
Uh huh.
that said, if this person is going to be there. You know what I mean? I
Around
would
my
like
kids.
to, correct, he's going to be around my kids. I would like to
To meet
meet
him.
him. I would like to
Mhm.
get to know him. They exchanged numbers. And honestly, it actually made it easier for me because he and
Right.
I could not get along. But
Right.
he and my husband got along great.
I got
So
I got
whereas as he didn't want to call and talk to me because we probably gonna get into it. You see what
right,
I'm
right.
saying?
I
Them
feel you.
two would coordinate and do stuff. You see what I'm saying? And
That's
it was the
cool.
same
I
thing.
think
And it
that's
was the
cool.
same thing with my my older children with their mom. She and I
Right.
exchanged numbers. We talk even now to this day. And we're divorced, and you know what I'm saying. We all still
Yeah.
have this very open, you know what I'm saying,
I feel
line of
you. I feel you.
communication because at the end of the day, it is and always will be about the kid. And these children
Yep.
grown.
Yep.
Don't get me, they all over 20. They all grown, right? So we technically don't really even have to talk no more, right? And we're divorced and things like so nobody really gotta do nothing. But the simple fact is we are all their village, right?
Right.
They
I
need
feel
me
you.
for certain things, they need their mom for certain things, they need their dad, they need you see what I'm saying? So it all just works. And that's a level of maturity, I think that most people just don't have, and it's unfortunate, right? That
Right. Right.
blendedness to be able to not have drama and not have dysfunction and not have, well, who do you think you are? And, you know what I'm saying? Because you're not even dealing with them based on the kid. You in your
Right.
own weird feelings, you know. But
Right.
if you're really making it about the children, then there is no feelings. You see
You're
what
gonna
I'm
do what's
saying?
best
Like
for the
it's about
kids.
the
Right.
kid.
I
That's
And
got
right.
you. I got
And I will say this, as a woman, if I'm going to enter into a man's life who already has children and has an active, mother of his children, I myself would want to sit down and have a meeting with all of us, have a sit down with all of us, because I want to grasp like where this woman's head is at. What is she like? What am I walking into? You
Yeah.
get what I'm saying? I don't want to enter into a
Absolutely.
situation that I don't even understand and I know nothing about, and only to find out that this lady is bat sugar honey iced tea crazy or something like that. Like I don't need none of that. So yes, I feel like if we're going to be reasonable adults about this, let's all sit down and have a powwow and just, cordially talk out what's happening here, where me and my significant other is moving forward, what that
Mhm.
looks like for you. How do you feel about that? Even though your feelings really aren't going to matter too much, it's just the respect of it to allow you to,
Wait a
voice
minute. You said their
whatever
feelings
your
aren't gonna
feelings
matter
are.
too much? You said their feelings won't
No, they're
matter too much?
not. No, not to me. Like, I mean, like, if I sit down with you as a woman and you tell me, I mean, I don't really like, I don't really want nobody around my kids. Or I don't really like that he, is dating women and having them. I mean, you can voice it, right? But it's not going to stop what me and him have going on.
Well, not
So,
just the
That's why
relationship,
I'm
but with the
wondering what the
dynamics of
reason
the
is.
children. I think
Right. And this is what I'm
that's
saying.
what
And
I
this is
can
why
speak to her and let her
it
know,
has
like,
to be about the kids.
right. I'm
Because
thinking about the
right.
kids,
here's
not your relationship.
and
Yeah,
so
I'm
what
thinking about the
happened is
kids.
my older children's father, he wanted to have a conversation with who I was dating. But then when my kids would come home and be like, oh, we went to Miss Such and Such house, and I would call him and I'd be like, hold up, partner. Like, who is Miss Such and Such? And he, for months, kept avoiding me talking to this lady. But guess what?
Mm-hmm.
It didn't have nothing to do with the kids. He didn't want me talking to her because he didn't want me to be a whistleblower, right? And he was trying to protect that. And I said, listen, I don't care what y'all got going on or what you think she might ask me. Cause women tend to be a little bit more communal, right?
That was my point.
They tend to like, if you meet the woman that your ex is dealing with, y'all might hit it off and be cool. And so then she might be like, oh, well, what happened between y'all? And all the lies that he done told now is, you see what I'm saying, coming out. And so that's what he didn't want. And so it took me saying, listen, I don't care nothing about that. I don't want to talk to her about that. But if my kid is over there, I need to know who she is. And I was like, so when either you're gonna bring her with you when it's time to meet up, you know what I'm saying, for this next exchange, or they not coming because you're not gonna have them around and at these people's house spending the night and all kinds of stuff. Nah, we ain't doing
How you
that,
doing?
buddy.
All
You
right.
know what I'm saying? So and he ended up bringing her, and we ended up having the conversation, and she was like, "Yeah, I've been asking for the same thing because I wasn't comfortable with your children being over here, and
without
I
speaking
not
to
talk
you.
to you." Correct.
Yeah,
So you know what
I've
I'm
been in
saying? So
those,
it's a level of maturity that has to be there on all parts that understand that this is not about the two people that were in the relationship. This is about the kids.
and I think the dynamic
Right.
changes when you start to cohabitate, right? And that is what I was thinking about when Hook talked about it. I've been in both situations. My oldest son's, he'll be 30. Whenever his mom like got into a serious relationship, or even when a guy was when he wanted to propose to her, he reached out to me, and let me know what the situation was, and everything was cool. I was supportive. And when they started living together, and it was rumored that there was some domestic violence going on. So I reached out to him because my son was 12 years old. And I said to him that, your marriage is your marriage. That's your business. You don't owe me any explanations. You don't even have to respond to me. I just want to talk to you about some things. I'm gonna give you something to think about. And my son was 12. And if you are having problems with his mom and you got into an altercation with her, what do you think a 12-year-old boy would do if he saw you fighting his mom? Now, I have nothing to do with your marriage or your relationship, but if my son got himself involved and it escalated and then you put your hands on my son, now I'm involved. So at that point, I asked his mom to have my son, come live with me. And he moved in with me and finished off, high school. But I've also been the guy living with someone that had children. And I asked her, I felt it was odd that her kids' parents never wanted to meet with me, to like just feel me out because I'm living with his children and you're coming by to pick them up, but nobody's communicating that with me. I noticed his son would come out of the room with a bag and walk outside. Dad's waiting. So when did this go on? When did you all communicate that? And if I'm the man of a house and there are kids living in the home with me, I think out of respect, I should know when they're leaving. I can't stop it. I'm not going to even object to it, but out of respect, hey, Junior's going with his dad this weekend. They're going to the fair. There's such and such.
I agree with that.
Yeah,
Right,
communicate that with
especially because
me.
you don't know what their dynamic is like.
And the
What if
guy,
what if they're not supposed to be going with them? You get what I'm saying?
Right. All of these things have to be laid
and
out on the table. And I
and
think this is
as a
kind of
man, I felt like he should have wanted to know who I was because I was a coaching in the sports. I would take his kid to games. I would take his kid to practices and spend time with him because our sons were the same age. And I felt like that was kind of odd that he never questioned anything. But then she was like, well, that's a positive. It's a good thing because everyone knows you. They know you're a coach. They know you're good with kids, blah, blah, blah. But I felt like he still should have wanted to vet me.
But
You
see,
know,
that kind of goes into segue into the number two thing that we were going to talk about, because sometimes people don't have the capacity to be that mature because they want that old thing back, and they can't
mm,
separate. Right? They can't separate what's going on with the kid, and because you in the house with his kids with his lady in his mind, right? He don't
right.
want to talk to you. He ain't got nothing to say. He ain't really mad, and he ain't, you know what I'm saying? But he may not be mature enough to be able to stand
Except that,
with you and
right.
know that you're playing the role that he actually wants to play.
That's a different perspective. And I mean, that could be the case. That very well could be the case. At the time, I was like, man, our kids were like 9 or 10. And I'm like, dude, I'm living here with like you never thought to ask who I was or, and then I was like, well, maybe he respects the mother that much to know that she wouldn't make a bad decision. Like if she trusts you enough to have you living in a home with her and the children, then, you must be up to par. But I was like, yeah, I wanted to meet the guy, and I ended up bumping into him like out in the streets, actually at his bachelor party. But that's a different story. But let's segue into the second question here. I want to know first off, do you agree or disagree, and how do we navigate this? So the second part, we're talking about soul ties. So every woman has someone who will always have access to them.
Stop saying woman. You need to change that to person, people, because it's
Right.
the
And it's not true.
men
But
on
go
got
ahead.
them too. Men,
See,
men got them too.
the person that brought it up said his grandma told him that every woman has someone who will always have access to them. And there's
Well, any of
always
those
a
lines.
guy out there who she really wants, but he wouldn't get his life together. That's the only reason she's not with that person. There's always a guy out there who she really wanted, but he just wouldn't get his act together. Or, maybe with someone else, he's locked up, he's on drugs. There's something going on. And basically that's why she's with you. So I want to know, ladies, do you agree or disagree? And what do you have to say about this?
I totally agree. And the reason that I totally agree is because if you didn't stay with the very first person that you've already dated, this can come into play, right? So there's a reason why you are no longer with a person, right? And a lot of times it doesn't have to do with, oh, I don't love them anymore, or they're not a good person, it's something that was a deal breaker that was probably hurtful, or you see what I'm saying? That it was like, oh man, but it may not change the fact of how you feel about the person. And so I do believe that could be, and it could be more than one, honestly. You know what I'm saying? That people that ain't the person you ever want to get stuck in the elevator with. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care how how much you love who you with and all that. That's great, but pressure. It's one person out there that can put that pressure on you. You know what I'm saying? And so I think I agree with it. I agree with that wholeheartedly, and I think it applies to men and women.
I don't agree,
Deborah
honestly.
disagrees.
I disagree. I totally disagree. And I disagree just because, I'm just kind of one of those people. If we didn't work out, it was for a reason. I'm not sitting around longing for you, wishing you would have got your stuff together, wishing you would have been different. If it's done, it's done. And I don't need to turn around. I don't need to backtrack. And I don't, like once I say I'm done with something, I don't look back at it. I don't wonder
Deborah is
about
not
it.
spinning the block, you guys. So
Yeah, Deborah is not
Deborah is
spinning the
not to
block.
spin the block.
She is not. Deborah
So
will not spin the block for you. Not like once I say this is it for me, you don't get me back at all.
okay, you're making a conscious decision, but is there one person out there who has the key to your heart?
No. There
Okay.
was one person now what I will say, he doesn't have the key to my heart, but we will always be cordial. We will always be friends. And that's just more or less because our families are intertwined in a certain way, but he doesn't have the key to my heart any longer. And I wouldn't backtrack to him at this point anymore at all for no reason in any scenario in my life. I don't care if we were stuck on the elevator.
So we had a
Mm.
question in the chat. Marvin said, "What if the person later corrects his fault and becomes successful?"
You should have had it corrected when we were together because at this point, again, for me, I can't speak for nobody else, but for me, if you didn't take the opportunity to make the most out of the time that you had with me, I'm not going to give you another chance to waste my time, get my time. Like my time is valuable. So if you didn't make the most of it when you had it, then you don't get it again.
All right, so fellas, what do y'all think? Hook, Terry, what y'all think? What y'all agree or disagree?
No, I don't believe it. I don't. if if someone's soul has more than one person who supposedly has their heart, they sold for the streets.
Hook. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. I don't. It's you end things and you move on for a reason. So yeah, you may have loved that person, you may have cared for that person, but I think it didn't work out for a reason. So in terms of someone having the key to your heart, could that be the case for some people? Yeah, but I think those are outliers. I don't think that. Now I do understand that a lot of people probably do settle, but people settle for a variety of different reasons, not necessarily because someone else owns their heart, but the person they're with could provide financial stability, so they'll go with that over someone they truly love. But in terms of, I think in those situations, there may be somebody else out there, the one that got away or whatever. But I don't necessarily think that I don't know, man. I don't know if I can get with grandma on that one. I don't necessarily think that's true.
And it's possible. And I'm gonna give y'all a little example. I was listening to this little thing earlier, and it was an older lady, and interview person was asking her, like, what was like the most pivotal moment for you in your life, and she said the plane crash. And they were like, the plane crash? And she's like, yeah. She said, so I was in love with this guy, and for whatever reason, they didn't work out in that moment, but she was still madly in love with him. She got married to someone else, and the other guy that she was still in love with re-entered her life, or they ran into each other. She didn't engage with him, right? But 3 months later, her husband died in a plane crash, and she said, and I got to marry the person that I had always been in love with. So is it possible, right, that people settle and have someone else who really has their heart? Yes, 100%. It's possible. But again, like Hook said, some people are those type of people who, when it ends, that's just it. It ends.
Well, I agree with Grandma, and I think that, let me see, and I mean, I could be wrong, but I joke with my friends at times, right? And we talk about who can or who has access to an ex, right? And I'm like, man, I can get all my ex if I wanted to, all of my ex girlfriends. I could
Me
always
too,
go
Coach
back.
Sean. I got access to every last one of them.
Yeah,
To this day.
if I wanted to, if I
To
wanted
this
to.
day.
Yeah. And I'm like, their boyfriends, husbands, they should be thanking me because I'm sparing them. I just, respect the situation. Yeah, I'm sparing them. I respect the
Yeah, because
situation.
I'm not. Like, let's be very clear. You
Yeah,
because I'm not.
hey,
Please.
hey,
And also, you don't have to have, like, here's the thing. While I'm not spending the block on that relationship,
yeah,
I will say there is one person who I would spend on,
but you're not
but you
because
ain't got my heart. But let's just say you don't have my heart, but you could
You got
text.
some else. You can take something else.
You can text something else. You can get something else one more time, but you can't have my heart. You already covered that part.
well,
But
no,
I will.
that's
I
the second
will
part,
climb
Deborah.
that pole one more time, though.
Yeah, that's the second part. That's
So
what
so
Grandma's
listen,
trying to
right.
tell him.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. And I think that's what makes the premise of it true, because it's so
Right.
many different levels in which a person can still access you. It might be a heartstring, it might
Mm-hmm.
be a emotional string, it might be a
It might be
physical
physical.
sexual string. It don't matter. But there's everybody can say, like I said, like Hook was saying, yeah, I'm not spending. Yeah, you might not spend the block, but what about that? It might be one person that, again, I don't want to be stuck in the elevator with her, like, because even though I don't want her like that, like Debra said, I don't want her to be my girl no more. But baby, we don't need to be in this elevator for 2 hours.
Yeah,
In a
yeah,
lot of
right.
cases, you think about that first true love or their first sexual experiences, unless it was something traumatizing, a family member or a form of abuse. A lot of times, that person, it happened. They were young. you kind of felt like you outgrew them and you knew they were toxic, or you knew in your mind that that's not the one for me, but I have to stay away from him. Like Tavona said, I don't want to be trapped off in an elevator with this guy. Or
Yeah, I'm telling you, like I got, it's a couple. Like, don't put me in the elevator. Like, please. Like, I would probably try to jump off the elevator. Like, cause I can't promise. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even trust myself that good. Like, I'm with
right.
Debra. I don't want to be your girl. We can't be together no more, ever. Not never, ever, ever. However,
And I know I was that guy. I
As
was that
long as I'm
guy.
not in a relationship, because I'm not like messing up a relationship just to climb that pole one more time, though. I'm not
no,
gonna
We're,
do
we're
that.
not saying you're going to
no,
do it. We're saying that the premise is true, that that person exists. We're not saying you're going to act on it. We're just saying that that person is out there.
correct.
I
Yeah,
know that.
acting on it, and just knowing that
Right. It's different
it's
things.
it's actual is different, right?
Okay,
Yeah, we're
okay,
talking
yeah.
that hypothetically, but but remember, what she said was that person, he wouldn't get his life together. And that's one of the reasons why you're not going to do it. And I knew that before I moved away from Charleston and changed my life, I know I was that person. And when I moved here and met my wife and kind of made a visible change, I promise you, I can show you about 30 different messages from women that were like, why is she so special? Why couldn't you have done that when we were together? Why didn't you do this back then? Why blah, blah, blah. Like
And
if I,
a certain time where this rears its ugly head, Coach Sean,
when you get married.
right now. Right, and also like homecoming,
Oh yeah.
all those,
Oh yeah.
different times, them little hey big head,
Oh
hey
yeah.
beautiful,
Oh yeah.
hey
Oh
what
yeah.
you doing, hey how you been? I ain't talked to you in I don't know how long, but here you come, cause you see what I'm saying? Because again, I believe that there is something special in everybody, right? And there is something special in every person that someone else is going to find special that they're not going to be able to get from somebody else, right?
Now
Because
Hook,
it's exclusive to you.
I don't want you to interrogate your wife now, talking about, hey, is there somebody out there? No high school boo. But hey, you still love your high school boo, But
But
I
like
used to tell
Damon said earlier, he don't want to know. He ain't even
David
gonna
doesn't want
ask.
to know. David is in
He
denial.
said I ain't gonna never ask. Right. As
Listen,
far as I'm concerned, no, she ain't got one. And if she do, she better lie to me about it because I don't want to.
well, my whole life, I always felt like if I wasn't your first, there's always somebody out there that has a space in your heart somewhere. I might cover more area, I might cover more, but that person has a low dot, a spot somewhere. And if they access it, then the area that they control or have access to can grow. And that's just how I've always felt. Even when I got married, because I felt like I'm getting married for a different reason, right? I don't care about a person's past. I can never be your first. I met my wife, we were in our 30s. So you have people, that you've dealt with before me. In whatever relationship you had or have, that is going to exist. It's not my job to change that. It's up to you to be mature enough, like Deborah is saying, to avoid those situations. And if they know who you are as an individual, what your character traits are, they should know, well, okay, she's not accessible, although we had whatever, when she's in a relationship, she's committed and she's going to do what it takes to be committed. But that has everything to do with the woman and who she is as a person, nothing to do with me. I don't care if you could give her the tongue lashing of a lifetime and everything in the world, but if that person holds that place with her, she'll find a way to get back to them. There's nothing you can do about it. Go ahead, Hook. We see your mic is on.
I mean, with soul ties, we're talking about soul ties, right? And the thing
Mm-hmm.
is, I personally, I think that they can be cut. and they can be severed. So I think that when you're with that person, when you give yourself to that person, then yeah, at that time that you're giving yourself to this person on a consistent basis, yeah, your soul is tied to them. But I believe that in most cases, once it's over, and those ties can be cut, they can be severed. So I don't think that you're necessarily tied to that person for the remainder of your life or for the foreseeable future or whatnot. So yeah, are there people who you've been in love with and you were really attached to? Yeah, I'm sure a lot of people have had that. Now, I just don't think it's as prominent as we may think that people are still tied to that person, even with there's somebody else. I do think that those ties can be cut.
So you saying
And I
your
will say
baby mama
this.
can't
Oh,
get
go
none?
ahead.
Oh, absolutely not.
I'm just
Yeah,
teasing.
absolutely
I'm
not.
teasing.
Absolutely.
And you got to think like not every situation ended because it was bad or the person didn't have their stuff together. You get what I'm saying? Some situations it might have just been your career path is taking off that way, mine's is taking off this way, and this just ain't gonna work no more. And so those normally are situations where that love really never, those are more situations I believe that can turn into, that person will always have a special place in my heart or whatever, because there was no malice there. There was no heartbreak there as far as you just weren't a good person. It's just our lives just took different directions and we just had to separate. Not everything has to be a bad, you know, deal in order to leave it behind.
Yeah, and I know that we're primarily be talking about. I'm assuming we were talking about like soul ties as it pertains to women, but I know like for just using myself as an example, a lot of like with my ex before I got married, a lot of my family thought that for whatever reason, like I would tell them like, nah, I've been over her, like, nah, man, you still love her, you still X, Y, and Z. And like, honestly, man, I don't see her often, but when I see her, you know what I feel?
What?
Nothing.
Mm.
Absolutely nothing. Like, I don't feel, I don't, what I mean? Like, we're cordial and stuff like that, but like, I feel zero. And I guess they believe it now, but they didn't believe that. And it's primarily because when I was in that situation, yeah, my soul was tied to her. But getting out of that was probably the best thing that I could have done. And like, I'm like with what Debra said, like, once you're done, once you no longer have access to me, that's that. And I do think that's the case for most people.
Hello, hello. This is
Yeah.
Nicole. This is my chance to speak to the group. Hook, I love your responses. Hi, Deborah.
Hey, Nicole.
How are you?
I'm
This is
always
for
good.
this is for Koshan, and I know where he's going with these topics today. But I do have a guy. Me and him can be in the elevator for 30 minutes. It's gonna go somewhere else. However, like my life story is it's totally, totally different. And I feel like Deborah, once I've left the guy, I don't replay. It's no, let's go on another date. Let's take this back. Good sex, bad sex, whatever. When I'm done, I stay through it all. And when I'm done, I'm done. But honestly, going back to the question, there is one guy that we know that we can't be around each other in any private moments. And so as far as that part, I truly believe that each person has that individual, but that's only my opinion.
So you get what I'm saying.
So I know
And
what you,
so can I be that person for multiple people though? That's what I'm saying.
You absolutely can.
You sure can.
you
And,
can.
right. And that's all I was saying is I think that I was a good person, unique person. I was young in a lot of my past relationships. So I think they extend a lot of grace to me because of that. I was young and foolish and did what young kids, things that young kids do. It takes a lot for someone 15, 16 years old to enter a relationship, and that relationship develops into a marriage, you know. But I think that I still have ties. But like you ladies said, you know that you cannot be around that person, right? So you do what it
I
takes.
mean, I can be around the person. I can be around the person that I'm speaking of. I can be around them and I can absolutely not do anything. But what I will say is if I were to spin the block, right, I know that one person would be the one person I would probably do it with only because of sexual reasons. It has nothing to do with emotions.
Well, I feel like I can be around that person, but that person being around me is going to drive something toward me. And his strength versus my strength is two separate strengths. So I know he'll overpower me, maybe not, but physically. And
So
then,
you say you ain't that strong, huh, Nicole?
no, not for that one. Not for that one.
Not for that one. Hey, Frank.
See, so y'all agree with what Tavona said from the beginning is that we're not saying you're going to act on it. We're just saying that it exists.
Yeah, I never
I'm
did.
acting.
Yes, I agree with that. It does exist.
I'm acting on it.
You so of course you are, Tank. Of course you are. And you know what? A lot of people do. But you know, and the crazy part is that again, I think it goes self-aware. And I don't know about if anybody else has done this, but I actually after I got divorced and, going to counseling and things like that and trying to make heads or tails of, this new normal and, you know what I'm saying? You go through relationships and it's good to not, to give yourself grace and not blame yourself and, you know what I'm saying? All of these kind of things. And I had an assignment to do where I had to send 3 questions to exes to see what their response was in reference to me.
Mm,
So because I kept being like, what did I do wrong or what's wrong with me or what, you know what I'm saying, or whatever. And all of the responses all came back the same, that you did nothing wrong. Like I am the idiot. Like you are definitely the one that got away. I wasn't mature. I wasn't ready. I wasn't blah, 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 blah. And so I think like what Coach Sean is saying that you as a person, and that's why I believe that everybody is special and has something special in them that other people are going to see, are going to be drawn to. You know what I'm saying? Because it's you. You might love or like somebody else, but there'll be that small little piece that isn't quite like blah, blah, blah. You see what I'm saying? And because of that, blah, blah, blah will always, like Coach Sean said, might not be taking up a big space, even if it's just a little dot. That little dot
mm,
is always
mm-hmm.
right. And if I was to send out questions, I mean, I already know what that's going to come back as because the one thing any of my exes can say is that they don't like the way my cutoff game is because when people realize they no longer have access to you and like nothing that they do provides them access again, that I can understand how that can be a challenging thing to deal with. You know what I'm saying? Being on the other end. But for me, it comes out as this is what I got to do to protect myself and protect my peace, post whatever we had or whatever's happening here. You know what I'm saying? I got to figure out what my move forward looks like. And that doesn't include providing you access to me. So yeah, my cutoff game is a little bit strong. It's strong, but it's strong for a reason. It's strong for, the boundaries that I set for myself when it comes to how I want my life to look in that retrospect. But I don't ever do it as like I don't weaponize it. You know what I'm saying? But I can say because I know I've had a couple of them say to me like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're heartless. You know what I'm saying? You're heartless because you don't understand how I feel and why we still need to be you know what I'm saying? Different stuff like that. Like, but in my mind, that's not my problem. Like those are not my feelings and my emotions. Those are yours. So you got to deal with that. You got to figure that out. You know what I'm saying? And this is what I'm doing on my end. Period. Point blank. It really, it probably prevents me from having a lot of lingering soul ties with people.
So you strengthen your cutoff game.
Yeah.
Mm.
I agree
Yeah,
with
and
you.
that takes discipline. It takes discipline. Like, don't get it twisted. Like, that shit takes some
A
ill
lot.
mental discipline
Yeah.
and self discipline to be able to do that and remain in that and stand strong in that regardless. You know what I'm saying? Regardless of, I didn't have a man, I'm talking about, tell me they about to put me up in a high rise, me and my son, all bills paid. Not have, I'm okay. You can keep it.
Oh no, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go. What?
I don't want it.
I'm gonna go.
You get what I'm saying? Like you got, and in that moment, I really could have used that high rise. I could have used having my bills paid. I've never really experienced nothing like that. So that was a moment where I could have really been weak and been like, oh wait, he offering me this? I ain't never had this. Yeah, I'm gonna take this. But at what cost? To myself.
Yeah. I've had my ex-husband to tell me he wish I was mad at him. Like, like I couldn't stand him, or when I see him, don't talk to him. And I'm like, why? It's over.
Well, when you
I'm not
give
mad.
your all, is I think it's easy.
I'm not mad.
When I was younger, I didn't fully commit myself, and when I was really young, like in high school, I always had like 3 to 5 girlfriends at a time, and that was wrong, right? So whenever someone broke up with me, I had a lot of regrets because I knew it was my fault. I know I didn't do what I was supposed to do. But when I got older and started to fully commit to relationships, I have no problem walking away because I know that I did what I was supposed to do. So I get what Nicole and Deborah are
And
saying.
that's what makes it easy
Yeah,
because you know you did what
you
you
did
were
what you're
supposed to
supposed to
do.
do, and I can fully walk away. I've been reflecting, and I admire what Tavona is saying as well. And when you can be honest with someone to say, hey, these are the things that I need, right? Are you willing to work on them if you aren't able to do it now? Are you willing to work on it, right? If not, and it doesn't have to be, we always think about sex or something sexually, but like she was saying, it could be, hey, I need someone that can communicate with me in this way. If you aren't able to do that, then you should understand that I will be communicating with other people. I need someone that
Right,
can do X, Y, Z. And if you cannot fulfill my needs, and it is a need, then these needs will be met somewhere else.
right. And
But of
Nicole, to
course,
you,
go ahead.
oh boy, probably Nicole wanted you. You know, men will. People will say, you know, if I'd rather you be mad at me or you hate me, because then they know they still hold some type of emotion with you. And so when you don't have that for people, that's when people really know and understand, like those emotions for you they are what they are. You know what I'm saying? And they don't hold any weight over my decisions and what I do with you.
You're absolutely correct. Let it be. Boom. Bye bye.
But so although in the beginning, a lot of you were saying you didn't agree, but I think that now we agree that that person does exist. It's whether or
Right.
not
Yeah.
you all are going to act on it.
Yeah. Right.
I want to be like
Right.
y'all when I get y'all age.
So
Savannah,
Marvin
Yeah.
Bao said,
Yeah.
hold on, Marvin Bao in the chat. He said, I once spoke to a female who was cheating on her husband with a man, and she stated that she would never let go of because of sex. And I thought that was crazy because my first thought was, isn't there other men with even better sex, a better lifestyle who's actually better for you? Why not just teach the new man or men what you want sexually if it's all about sex? Because no man can satisfy every woman the same way sexually because all women have different freak levels.
And that's why she's staying
But
with Marvin.
but the
Because
key
you
is,
ain't gonna want that. And if it comes innate, you don't want to have to.
Deb, you missed the part. She was married and cheating.
I seen that. I read that.
So you said, why not teach the new man? Why not teach your husband?
I'm just reading what Marvin put.
I
That
know.
was all in what Marvin put.
No, you said why not? Oh no, you're right. You're right. You're right. He said yeah, you're right.
That's what Marvin said.
Yeah,
Pipe down,
no,
Peter. Okay, pipe down, Peter. Let's.
why not teach the man that you want how you want to be pleased?
I
How about
tell
that?
you why you don't want to teach that, because sometimes it's an innate thing. If you have never been with
And
someone
it's not
that you
teachable.
did not have to teach them, that is golden. I don't know who ain't never experienced it, but if you have experienced
I'm not
with,
married to somebody who I don't have sexual chemistry with.
well, and that's no, no, you're missing the
But
point.
you can have
It's a
sexual
different,
chemistry
right? It's
with
a
different
difference
people.
between chemistry and that one person who just is just perfect. Like
Make her
You
laugh.
didn't have
you
to
don't
tell.
have
You didn't have to tell them not one.
not
You didn't have to
one
tell them a position
thing.
to move, a
No,
way to handle you, a
no,
way. You
you
didn't
ain't
have to
gotta say
tell them
nothing.
absolutely nothing.
It could read your mind, and
All
that
right,
is a
Deborah.
different level. That
I'm
is
sorry,
a
Krishan.
level. I'm
No,
telling you, there's a different level.
you're revealing that that person exists, Deborah. That person is out there.
No,
You
that's
came in saying you don't believe
what
it,
I'm saying.
but you having flashbacks right now.
You
You having
gotta
flashbacks right
be able
now.
to understand. All I'm
Hey,
saying is you gotta be able to
Because some
understand
things, and
that
to
that is
answer
something
Tank's
that is
question, it can't be taught. It can't be taught
right.
because you can have chemistry with multiple people, but when there's that ultimate chemistry that Deborah and I are talking about, where there's no words that need to be said, there's no teaching, there's no tutorials that need to be. That is top tier. That is next level, and you're not gonna get
And
that.
technically, a lot of times that is a once in a lifetime thing.
That's what I'm saying. It is a one.
Before I,
That's why that person is going to always exist, because nobody that's going to be able to top that. It just ain't.
mm. So we agree, and this is something that I tell my homeboy, but he gets upset. If you conducted a census, I'm sure that less than 50% marry the best sex that they've ever had.
correct.
Oh, hands down.
Most of them married for business purposes.
Yeah, I
Or
disagree
they
with that.
check off more boxes.
I didn't do that neither. I didn't do that neither time. Nope. Absolutely not. The two are not. They are not the same person. Sorry. They are not. They ain't. Nope. Sorry.
So
Mm-mm.
if
Coach
that
Sean, I disagree. I disagree.
the person checked off
I disagree.
a lot of boxes, so
They
so
check
you're
off a
saying
lot of boxes, but they
right. So you're saying, Nicole, you think that people marry the person that had the best sex that they've ever had?
No.
no. He said he disagreed.
Heck no.
Oh, okay. All right. I thought you
But I
disagreed
think
with
this is
what I said.
where sometimes the split of men and women. Now I think a lot of men may do that, but a lot of women do not.
Yeah, because women are
Right?
looking at
I think
who's going to be the best father for my
you
children.
have these
Yep.
men. I think this is why you have men, like especially like these high profile men. Oh my God, why did he marry her? Because his mind just done went totally blown, right? And definitely not thinking with his brain, and now he
At
done
all.
gone and got married, right? Women are not as much as people like to think that, oh well, she can't be. Women, most women are not emotionally tied to sex. And that's what people think that it is, but it's really not, because we are making smart decisions when it comes to a quote unquote life partner that may
Oh
not
yeah.
have anything to do with that part, right? And so we will, as women will deal with that part not being as top tier as somebody else, because like Coach Sean said, they check the boxes.
hmm And
But
they
trust in
know that in a
don't
lot
let
of
her get stuck
instances,
in the elevator with the top tier, because you're gonna be in trouble.
you're going to be in trouble. And they know in a lot of cases, they can still access
That man, that's
that
right. So
man.
they're not losing.
They're
They're
not
winning
losing,
on
right?
both sides because they have this person that checks off the qualifications of what you need as
Yep.
a husband, but you still have access to this want.
So whenever you feel like, my husband treats me nice, he's considerate, he's selfless, he has a great job, he's a great father, he's a provider, he's a protector, but I gotta get out this house about 3, 4 times a
And get
year. It
my
might be
back blown
There
out.
homecoming.
you go.
It
There
might be
you go.
Get my
homecoming.
back
That's
blown
right.
out. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
That's right. And see, Marvin said men,
Keep the best.
yes, as the side piece, not the wife. And I think that works both ways, right? Because sometimes now, if you are somewhat of a man who has control, like again, these NBA players and you know what I'm saying, things like that, marrying you ain't that ain't love. They the best whatever that's there at the time, right? And they just so gone and they can't think past that this is what they do. But most of the time, a man, I have asked this question before, why would you marry this type of woman, but then just to cheat with this type of woman? Because 9 times out of 10, they ain't even close to the same type of woman.
Hey, we told you what he's after. And I think in some cases, some people do get
My bad.
lucky and they can marry the person that offered the best sex.
Well, and I wish I could find one. I don't know nobody that did that. Not a one. I don't know nobody.
If I was
If you
interested
find
in actually marrying again, I would want to marry someone who gave me all of it, who checked all the
correct.
boxes and gave me the best sex.
Yeah, but
Like
I don't
that
know
would be
nobody
great.
that did that. I think you can line up 100 people right now, Coach Shine. You ain't gonna get that. You ain't gonna get that answer. I don't think. And if you
Right.
do, it might be one. I'm telling you, because I don't think unless I think the only way you get that answer is like
And then
two
somebody
virgins got
does that.
married. Two virgins got married. Then they'd be like,
Well,
oh
yeah,
yeah, this
that's
is the
true.
best. Yeah. This is the best ever in my life. Because
And
they don't know no better.
Hook says it's possible to break a soul tie. He feels like that's possible. And I want to ask
Oh,
him,
I don't. I think. Look, anything can be, and anything can happen if you want it to. But some, if you have a quote unquote soul tie with someone that you love, care for deeply beyond the reason why, you can't even articulate it into words. That's gonna be a little bit hard to say you just gonna break it. You know what I'm saying? You may be able to be with someone else, may be able to and do other things with your life. But if that person still has that connection to your anything, heart, mind, body, whatever, that's going to be extremely hard to break. I'm not saying it can't be done because Hook sounds like he has mastered it. However, he might be the unicorn.
it could be, and I don't want to ask anything personal because, his ex is not here to clarify or defend themselves. But I just want to know from some of the guys or just people in general, like sometimes like you're angry, you're upset. If it was a bad breakup, that person cheated, you're angry in that moment, but that doesn't mean that they still don't have that speck, that part. But that makes it easier to move on. And that makes it easier to say, you don't have to worry about me with that person, because of what he or she did to me. And I want to know from you all, have you all ever thought about this with your significant other? Have you ever thought that there's some chick out there that has a piece of his heart, or there's some guy out there that has a piece of her heart? Have you all ever thought about that, and how did it affect your relationship?
Oh, absolutely. I knew it. I knew it was happening. I knew she was there. And what I asked for was honesty because I felt like she was there way before me. So if this is what you think and feel like you need, in my opinion, it didn't take nothing away from me. Like, no, I didn't feel no more or the less, right? I didn't feel like she was above me or below. I just feel like this was somebody who I understand that level of connection to. This is where we kind of make the mistake. And we've talked about it a little bit on or that romantic love is the only singular in our society. Nobody tells you that you can't love both of your parents. Nobody tells
Right.
children. But when it comes to having a romantic relationship, our society says it's got to be singular. And unfortunately, that is the problem. When people start to realize that you absolutely can love and possibly be in love with more than one person, start to see some of those shifts because people are just so afraid to admit that. And because they frown upon it. So they're afraid to admit it. They're afraid to live in it. They're afraid to walk in it. You get this thing that results in more harm because you can't be honest about it. So I asked for honesty. I said, you ain't got to get off the phone when you walk in the house. Like, I I know who you're talking to. Talk for. Like, I was fine with it because I knew that person existed. But I did not feel like it took away anything from me at all.
As long as you continue to fulfill, your
What
obligations
I
and
needed,
requirements.
correct.
Right.
And if the as long as the honesty was there, right? Because if you feel like you want to go to dinner or you feel like you want to talk on the phone or if you feel like you want to go to just say that, right? Because I respect honesty about certain things because I understand that we are human and that we are flawed. And I do understand that relationships and feelings are not singular. So I would be crazy to think that just because I signed my name on a piece of paper and put a ring on my finger, that that's supposed to make all of my past thoughts and feelings and everything go away. It doesn't happen like that.
And honesty is so important. And communication, open communication is very important. It brings us back to the
It's
premise of the show.
absolutely important. And
Yes,
for me,
that's
like
what we
I
said in
didn't
the
get
beginning.
that. I didn't get the honesty and I didn't get the communication about it. But I could feel that was the thing with my situation. Like I could feel the presence. I don't even want to say the presence, but the energy of someone else. That the fact that they were carrying the energy of someone else. And wasn't willing to be honest about it, wasn't willing to really acknowledge it because you to acknowledge it would really make you have to look at it and you didn't want to look at it. You get what I'm saying? So I didn't have the experience where I got the honesty and I got all of that. It was really just I had to remove myself because you're not willing to look at it, but there is literally a person that is looming over this relationship that you don't want to acknowledge. Though they're not physically here, they're here.
So
So
what do we
isn't
do
that
in
what
this situation? How do you navigate that, knowing that you aren't that person?
I mean that was a hard one to navigate, right? But again, at the end of the day, for me, my reasoning and my thinking was as much as I like you, I can't be here because the fact that you won't look at that to even be able to heal it and remove this person's energy from from you, I can't be here. It's uncomfortable for me. You get what I'm saying? Because
But do
you're
they have the
guarded in a way
ability?
that you
Do they have the
can.
ability like you have the ability? You're like, hey, I'm going to remove that person. I'm not going to, XYZ. Everyone is not
No,
stone
what I
cold like
said is
you.
I'm going to remove myself because clearly you don't have the ability to like work that out, work that through within yourself. Like, and yes, not everybody is that emotionally mature enough to say, like, all right, I just got out of this. Before I try to get into anything else, let me really take some time to look at this and be able to, you get what I'm saying, release this so that it doesn't move forward with me. But when you don't have that emotional capacity to do that, or when you don't have the awareness, the self awareness to do that, then you walk around with that energy. And I don't even think most people realize how guarded they are, how clouded their energy is when they hold on to those, those past relationships, the things that were done, the hurt that was caused, and they don't know how to let that go, like that's all energy. I don't, you get what I'm saying? And if you're a person who absorbs energy, when you're around someone, you can feel that. You can feel that heaviness.
Ooh, Marvin in the chat said, for men, constant true honesty will get your behind separate divorce because no woman can handle all levels of honesty and continue to be the same. That is definitely not true, Marvin. Now, I will say I would just change one word in there where you say no woman. That's not true. I will say most, but are women and people who absolutely value and respect honesty over everything, that they can deal with pretty much anything as long as you're being honest.
Right. That's my
Right.
thing. I have.
And I know I'm one of those people. I can deal with almost anything. Now, I mean, if you're honest and be like, hey, I'm a sexual predator for 2-year-olds, I mean, I'm not going to stay, right? I appreciate the honesty, right? But however, that's at my capacity. And now I have to remove myself. No judgment, but thank you for telling me, right?
Right.
But other than something like that, but if it's like, oh, hey, by the way, it was Susie, Tasha, and telling me, let's go where we forsake the, I mean, well, let me know how this work. Like, okay, it was all wrapped up. Okay, good. Next, what we having for dinner, right? Okay, and if it wasn't, hey, let's go hit this updated. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, the honesty for me, and I can only speak for me, overrides everything because you will never get the opportunity to take my choices away. I want to be able to decide. I don't want anybody deciding for me.
And that's the thing right there. You can't have my choice. If you're not honest, you're taking away my ability to really choose what what needs to happen in my own life. The same way, if I'm not being honest with you, I'm taking away your ability, right, to make whatever informed decision you need to make for yourself, whether that includes staying with me or not.
I agree, Deborah. My whole thing is tell me the truth and let me make a decision. My ex-husband told me a couple years ago he would never ask me anything because it's just going to be honesty. Because I'm a person, if I've done it or it's being done, I'm going to tell you, it's up to you to make the decision on how you move forward. But you're going to get it from me.
Well,
So
Marvin is
Marvin asked
asking.
another question. What if he tells you he's no longer in love with you? Great. Okay.
Hey, baby.
So
Time to
do
move
we
on.
have to, well, you ain't even got to move on. What does love got to do with it? Like, are we here for love or are we here so that this money don't get messed up? Are we here to build wealth? Are we here? Like,
Well, it depends on why
what you're,
Yeah.
why the
right. And
two
I don't
people are
care.
together.
You don't,
Yeah,
Yeah.
correct. You don't have to be in love with me because
that's
I don't care about, so that's me. But if person who wants loved or needs to be loved, then that's going to matter to you.
And if you're not in love with me, then clearly I need to be getting my stuff and moving on. Because why would I stay here? If love is why I'm here and you don't love me, what am I
it's
here
time to
for?
move on.
Yeah, I don't need the love part. Like,
It's different dynamics of
I need you
relationships.
to like me a little bit, just enough for us to,
Right.
do
Don't
what
hate.
we need to do.
Just don't
Don't
hate
hate
me.
me, but we
Yeah.
don't
You don't have to love
necessarily,
me.
I don't need the love. It's plenty of people that love me. So
Yeah.
I don't
You
really
can love
need
your
that.
first.
But if we here and we've already entered into this covenant, which is probably why I'll never get married again because, you know what I'm saying? I just can't see myself doing it. But if we entered into a covenant, then we're supposed to be in the covenant, right? And so everything else is supposed to be able to figure itself out. Like, you don't love me anymore. That's great. What I got to do with the covenant?
Yeah.
Because the covenant is
We
for
might
better,
fall
for
in love
worse, and
again
all this
later.
stuff. Maybe we just might. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, like, you know what I'm saying? Don't stick and stay through it to even know what's on the other side of some of that stuff because they're not willing to have those hard conversations. And what would cause you to not, if you loved me 2 months ago, then why don't you love me now? Or is it something that I can do that can help us get back there? See, people don't want to fight. People don't want to do the work. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
I have always said that divorce is the easy way out.
Eh,
have always felt that. It is the easy way out. People that have been married for 30, 50, do you really think that they have been happily married for 40, 50 years?
exactly.
Absolutely not. But they made a decision to love through things. They
Hmm.
forgave a lot. They talked a lot because that's the only way you can get to 40 years with somebody. 3 times because he lied one time. So what? You ready to go? Like what crazy? That is the easy way out. That a lot of times when people get divorced, you ain't want to be there anyway because you ain't really want to fight. You ain't really want to do the work.
Mm,
Took the easy way out.
I agree. And that is what divorce is. It's the easy way out.
It is the easy way out.
But sometimes that's the best way out when there's only
That's
one
something I
working.
was just about to say, Nicole.
Yeah, when one is working by itself. I mean, what do you do? Stay in something and have both ends of the rope? It don't work like that either.
Yo, go find your real true love afterwards.
But not
And
only that,
again,
but
and again, I
you can
agree, Nicole. It
also.
depends on what it depends on the reasoning, right?
That's true.
Again,
That's
it
true.
depends on if that is your thing. Like if you are the type of person that you have to love me for me to be here, then that being out of love is not going to work for you. You see what I'm saying? But if that's not your deal breaker, and Marvin asks, well, what if he tells you? What if he spent the paycheck or on gambling or drugs or had sex with your best friend? Let me tell you something. Now, the Coach Sean, no, the second one would probably that would be the deal breaker for me. You start messing up the money, we got a problem, right? So, like, I don't. Again, the best friend thing, I don't care because she know anyway because I done told her everything. So I probably don't even care because I probably knew about it anyway. Like, you ain't hurting my feelings with that. Like, again, it's about what you value, right? If you value love, if you value sexual exclusiveness, right? You see what I'm saying? If those are the things that you value and somebody doesn't value the same things, when they show the devalue that they have in those things, y'all are gonna clash. Because everybody, sex, quote unquote, cheating is not a deal breaker for everybody. It ain't.
No,
It,
no.
just like messing up the money ain't a deal breaker for everybody. Drugs ain't the deal breaker for everybody. Beating your behind ain't the deal breaker for everybody. So everybody ain't the
Or
same.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And so you have to
what you
know
want.
what your deal breaker is. And if
Yeah.
you don't, and some people feel like I don't have no deal breaker. I said till death do us part, and that's what it's gonna be. We gonna ride this thing to the good, the bad, the right, the wrong. You probably done smacked me in the head a
Where
couple of
she at?
times. You
Where she
done,
at? Need
you
her.
done did it. Well, that,
Where she at?
I, like I said, you
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 gotta
have, but
find her. She
see,
out there though.
Yeah, she's out there.
these are the things that, but here's again, but guess what? Guess what, Tank? These are the conversations that you should be having on date one instead of asking her what the hell her favorite color is.
Right. Right.
You see what I'm saying? Because you having these conversations after you already even got married and you didn't even know that was her deal breaker.
Hmm.
So again, I mean, I don't think you
And
can
that's
do
get divorced.
anything correct, and you can't do anything without open, honest conversation. It all ties back into that, right? And and it's so sad sometimes because people allow fear and shame and all these other things to allow them not to be honest, right? And dishonesty is probably one of the worst things
Word.
that you can do because you and the biggest and the worst lie that anybody can they tell themselves. Yourself, nobody else has a chance.
Oh yeah. When you start lying to yourself, that's it.
Yep. When you start lying to yourself, nobody else has a chance.
Yeah, I agree.
100%. 1,000%.
So having self-awareness and knowing what works for you and being able to communicate that to other people will keep you out of a whole lot of stuff. Cause it's a lot of people that, oh, hey, let me go here. Let's this for what? Like, all right, look, before we even, you ain't gonna even get no date with me because I'm gonna put it all out here in the DM. So we ain't even gonna make it past there, right? Because if you can't handle what I'm saying right here, we definitely ain't going nowhere. You see what I'm saying? Because I'm putting it all right there. Why am I gonna? Why am I gonna waste my time? I have had people send me a message. Hey, beautiful, how are you? What do you want? That's my next question. What do you,
You know what they want? Why ask that question? You know what they
what you want?
want.
And guess what? A lot of them, 9 times out of 10, I know exactly what they want. And if they ain't man enough to say it, this conversation is over.
You know what they want.
Say it.
But I'm not a mind reader.
Exactly. That's why I asked the question.
They're
Right?
trying to touch you where
Every
you PT at.
but then say that. So then I do I want you? No, I don't. Why we gotta go through all of that? Why you gotta waste money taking dinner and I gotta waste money getting dressed and wasting time and when this is all we wanted to do from the beginning? Let's just say that.
You know why. You know how y'all go.
Who the hell is y'all?
Some women.
No, thank you. Because y'all is inclusive. Don't
How some women go.
right, and that's the problem, right? And that's but when I think a lot of times people go with the majority, right? If 9 out of 10 women act like this, you're not thinking that this might be the one that doesn't, right? You're gonna clump them all together. If 9 out of 10 men act like this, you're not gonna be thinking this is the one that's not gonna. You're gonna clump them all together, and that's unfortunate because you may be missing out on.
That's how you miss
You know
your
what I'm
life.
saying? Right,
That's
because you together. I am the unicorn. I'm okay with being a unicorn because if you think you getting regular degular over here, you're not. You know what I'm saying? So you know what I mean? And that's the thing. And I personally regular degular. Like I want you to show me something that's different. Like change my mind, make me think that you not the 9. Show me that you the one.
Mm.
I do know that a lot of females group all men alike. Um, as a woman dealing with women. But I'm glad that I have the opportunity to say I'm not one of those women because I've learned that no two women, no two men operate alike. This guy could have done dated 20 guys, 20 females, and they all can be like, oh, he's such a dog. He's this, he that. That might be something I never experienced.
Right.
But if I didn't give him the opportunity, I could have missed out on a good thing.
Right. That's right. Because you don't know what you can bring into that person's life that other people didn't bring that may bring out a
Exactly.
different side of them that
Right. He don't know what I'm missing. I don't know what he's missing. And we might be missing the same thing that both of us is looking for. So I swear, Coach Sean, no. Oh my God. I think such like a dude in so many different ways. But at the same time, I'm a female and I have feelings as well. But I think life has just taken me down a path where it's like I'm in a box. I'm just so concerned about me who I deal with. And I don't be concerned about the other little pieces that I hear other people struggle. Because I know a lot of people be making up stuff. Social media has done messed up the world. These liars. I mean, people say anything out their mouth, their action is something totally different.
Right.
So I just take it for face value.
They say one
I'll
thing.
never say men's are all men's are like, and I never like hearing men say, all y'all women are like, no, the hell we ain't, cause we ain't no two people alike.
And they're on. I was going to say with Damon was like, where is she? Where is she? I think that as people, our tolerance is much higher in solidarity or when it's not put on display. A lot of things go on that people don't know about,
That's
right?
true.
And they will tolerate a lot. But once it hits a platform or others start talking about it and, oh, that couldn't have been me or I couldn't be that person, blah, blah, blah. When in actuality, a lot of times they're doing worse or have done worse. Worse.
And Damon probably is the problem. That's why he can't find the person.
Not, you know, I know you're
Man,
not gonna be your cousin Damon like that.
I listen. You see how I roll. I enjoy being single, man. I'm enjoying this time.
I'm with you, cuz. I'm with you. Loving every moment.
And both of y'all slamming.
No, I'm loving it.
Talking
You
about
know
y'all
I'm
are
loving
single. Okay. I don't
it.
mind to hear
Single,
this stuff here me.
that's the topic
You
today.
said both. Well, you said both of us what?
Flamming.
No.
Claiming to be single. That's gonna be the next topic.
What you get?
There's only two selections. Either you're single or you're married. That's what the application says, single or married. It's no difference. What is going to be the in between? You're in a relationship or you're in a relation.
In a
That was another
relationship.
topic. Are you in a relation or in a relationship?
So what are you
So
all
wait,
doing?
situationship.
Huh?
Nigga, I'm
A
just saying.
relation, a relation is just having sex, dating, going from this person to that person. Relationship is, when, like Hook said, it's exclusive.
Mm.
So which one are you?
So the relationships are exclusive.
Yes.
That goes back to the first part of our question, right?
Hmm.
What advice do you all have for women? What advice would you give to a girlfriend struggling with the idea of not being seen as a like person of authority or like a stepmother into marriage?
Well, it don't bother me. I got my own children. So I mean, hey, sorry,
What
sorry.
advice? But some feel like, hey, we're together.
All the
Uh,
females I come across.
We're together, but we're not married. I mean, I, I'm a plead the fifth on that because I ain't gonna get it.
so what do you? I mean, are there certain things that they should be allowed to do, or
Oh,
privileges, or
the
have to
woman as a
say?
kid.
The woman, the girlfriend or boyfriend.
Well, it depends on their relationship with
No. Girlfriend, boyfriend, no.
the children. You know, what if because if me and this guy is living together, yeah,
Hmm.
okay, we're not married, but he's in the house with this child, and the child gets in trouble in school. I feel like he should have a say so. He's there.
So how does that work? If and I'm asking the ladies, just
I,
asking ladies.
I I don't agree with that. I don't feel like he should have a say so. If he's there, I feel like if he wants to have a conversation with the child, cool. You have a conversation, but leave everything else up to waiting till I get home so that this can be done together.
Oh,
Like,
hold on.
The conversation is the same as it's the say so. I mean, he ain't gonna
Is
be,
it?
he ain't gonna ridicule my child, and I'm not gonna say nothing like that. But basically, let's change the word. Yeah, he can have a conversation with my child.
yeah, you can have a conversation, but again, I don't even know until I really know like how you interact with children, period. Like until I know how you handle yourself in that mode, all conversations really need to be had around me. So whether my child got in trouble or not, if I'm not home yet, wait till I get home, let's discuss it, and then let's handle this together if that's what we're doing. Because one thing I always want to do is present as a united front when it comes to what's going on with the children, to let
Mm.
them know we're on the same page. So, you know what I'm saying?
Well, a man is not even gonna be living with me if he doesn't have rights to my kids. So I mean, this is not a one time. This is not a guy I met 1 week, 2 week. I mean, me personally, this is somebody over over time because it takes me a minute to introduce any guy to my kids. But lo and behold, like there have only been three guys in my kid's life, and I'm 48 years old. So I'm definitely not going to put them around in harm's way to somebody that I don't trust to know that they're not that figure, that father figure that they can say something that he should be able, not to say nothing to them. And I know a
Right.
lot of relationships go south where the woman, he ain't gonna say nothing to my child. Why are you with this man if he can't say
But
nothing to
here's
your
the
kids
thing
and y'all
though.
together?
But here's the thing though, Nicole, because there still was a transition period where that man was coming around. You get what I'm saying? And engaging with your child, like when y'all first And so there's still that period until I see how you move, how you handle yourself in these conflicts with a child, right?
Right,
Mhm.
This
right,
needs to happen with me involved. Now,
right.
once I
You're
know
exactly
like
right.
you solid in that area, then yeah, you could. I would trust you to have that conversation with them without me being there because I
Okay.
know you're gonna. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah,
you're
you're
still
gonna
gonna
do the
have that
right
child's
thing.
best interest. Yeah, you're gonna do the right thing.
Yeah.
But until then, I gotta be involved.
Well, I had a husband, 10.5 years, and I raised his son and took on, the mom got killed, which was horrible. And I raised a son, and you figuring you're married to someone, I've been together for XYZ. My kids would get in little things and I would be like, "You're not gonna say nothing?" Who? No, 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 no. I ain't saying nothing to your children. What?
Mm.
Okay. I see where this is going. When something goes wrong with his son, he's coming to me to figure it out. But you're not gonna say anything to my kid.
When was the first time that became an issue, or you felt the need to discuss it?
Ooh, maybe 6 years into marriage.
Mm.
Yeah, 6 years, because the first couple years, great. Pick up the girls, sports events. I might have to go to football practice. This other one got track practice. This other one got cheerleader practice. Okay, I'll go. Tell me which one you want to do. I'll do the other opposite. It just came about, like, really, this is what you're doing?
Do you think did he ever meet with their father?
Their father wasn't present in their life at all.
So okay, he never had the opportunity to interact with dad.
He knows that dad has never been active.
Okay.
Dad has never been active. Dad is not even approachable. Dad wanted to stop our wedding, to tell you the truth. So,
Mm.
yeah, this ain't somebody, Dad went to my father-in-law and said, tell your son no marry my baby mama or whatever. I mean, so it's always been upside down for whatever reason. So I would never expect I can never get them to have a topic or either discussion,
An
because
adult
you
conversation.
first have to be a dad or a parent in order to say what your requirements are, what you expect from somebody else. But you
That's
can't
a good
expect
topic.
anything
That's
when
a
you're
good
not
topic.
there.
So how do we determine, you know, so just being a biological father, you saying that does not give you the authority
To do it.
to say, you know, what goes on with the kids, who has a say in what and things like that.
If you're not active, if you're not active in your child life, you don't have a say so to say anything, not to mine.
Mm.
I definitely feel like I mean, there has to be, you definitely have to be actively participating here in
Right.
order to be able to make rules about what happens here. Because if you're not actively participating here and you just want to hop in and
Just
hop
run your
out
mouth
as
and
you please, you can't come over here dictating anything, because what you're not going to do is change the way that I am raising
running
them.
stuff. That's right.
You get what I'm saying? Because if you wanted to do that, then you would already be here, and this would be a conversation that we would be able to have together
So just
before
being
we
dad
had
is
to
not
enter
enough.
into.
No,
No,
no.
that's the same way just being mom is not enough. So if you're a full-time father and this mother pops in as she pleases, thinking that, you know what I'm saying, she just gonna come in and steal what she got. No, you're not, because
I'm
you're
just
not
asking.
actively here.
I'm just asking.
I mean that
I'm
both
not taking
ways. If
sides.
you ain't,
I'm not taking a
if you're
side.
not here, you ain't doing it. I mean,
I'm learning
that's
a
just my
lot.
opinion on it though. Like, you know what I'm saying? But with me, like with my son's dad, I give him free reign, but that's because we talk about everything. Any decision that gets made about our son, we make it together. I
That's
don't
it.
like, yeah, I don't make any decisions without calling him first and saying, hey, this is what I'm thinking about doing with Carter. You know what I'm saying? How you feel about that? You get what I'm saying? Like it
Yeah,
is an
you
open line of
participating.
communication.
Right, right.
Yeah. So
But
he
when you
gets
got
all
money
access to
doing
make all
anything,
decisions.
I mean, you just a damn sperm donor. Who you gonna say something to? You're not gonna mess up something good for me. because I mean, and 9 times out of 10, like how their kids, like their father is,
Right.
he would try to mess up everything because it didn't go his way with us. That's why I'm glad I only had to deal with one baby daddy. Cause I swear I couldn't deal with 2 or 3. Uh,
And I'm sorry,
uh.
we're down to 20 seconds, y'all. These 2 hours go by so fast. Like it's unreal how fast the time goes. We're down to 20 seconds. And any final words, questions, comments?
Good show.
Great show as usual for me.
Yeah.